Normally, I don't make videos like this, and I especially don't post them here, as normally content like this would be put on my second channel. Hell, when the whole Birdie drama happened way back when, I didn't dare touch that thing with the 10-foot pole. Seeing as this is a much more serious issue rather than two children bickering at each other and some self-proclaimed god threatening to mass ban every animator on this cursed hell site, I decided it was time to actually touch upon some of the things going on in the community. Please note that I don't associate myself with the ranting community, even though I'm working on scripts for videos like this, but those are mostly just game reviews, me complaining about how much I hate Life is Strange, and me being impatient when it comes to grinding in a video game. If you're an active member of the meme slash rant slash animation community, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, it's not unlikely that you've at least heard of Spockter theory, and to say he didn't have me fooled at some point would be a complete lie. But that doesn't mean red flags didn't go off in my head from the beginning. Given the voice changer he uses, I thought he was an adult, either 18, 19, or 20 years old. And please note that the voice changer isn't as obvious as stories. The reason that set off alarms in my head is because not only had I heard about the disgusting lewd contest he held a while back, but since it's a community made up of minors, some of them even being under the age of 13, mind you, I had a sneaking suspicion that something was going to go wrong eventually. And would you look at that, the raptor cat actually predicted something correctly for once in her life. I mean, I'm no clairvoyant, you could call me Yasuhiro Hagakure if you were to assume I was one, but believe me, I can read people clearly, and this guy just seemed like an asshole from the start. Because not only does he criticize other people's content, but he's a bit of a hypocrite himself, because he doesn't even watch videos criticizing his own content. Like, sure, maybe you're a sensitive crybaby or whatever, but by the time you've been outed for all your disgusting acts, I'd believe you'd go to cry in the timeout corner for a week and then come back and pretend as if nothing happened. Too fucking bad you're not going to be able to do that now, because this shit is intolerable and definitely not accepted in a community like this, especially when you yourself is still a minor.
Oh, but he's almost an adult. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just a child.
Yeah, you could say that, but then that would be the equivalent of me running over an entire crowd of people with a car and then claiming, oh, but I'm 16, and even though I've never had a license, I'm still legally allowed to drive. And in that scenario, I would probably be trying to run people over. Imagine I knew exactly what I was doing. Now make the necessary connections, and you can see where I'm going with this. There's no way you can defend something like that, because he fully knew what he was doing, begging for free art, begging for a free fursuit, which, by the way, costs thousands of dollars if you were to pay for one, sexually assaulting minors, moaning for money on stream, and then getting mad at people for taking him seriously, sexually assaulting other minors, and that's just the short list. There's a fuck ton of other stuff I could list, but before I do that, I'm gonna take this opportunity to put up a warning. If you're not comfortable about these topics, now's the time to skip to this timestamp for conclusion or whatever. Here's your warning, 3, 2, 1, go. Assuming that Spockter lives in the US, judging from just his voice because there's no sense of any kind of accent other than American, I'm going to talk about some legal stuff. Given I did a project on this stuff in my grade 9 French class, I'd like to think I'm pretty well educated on the law, at least here in Quebec anyways. Regardless of the fact that Spockter himself is a minor, the things that he's been doing are still classified as illegal. For example, he interacted with a 13-year-old who was in a relationship in a sexual way, saying sexual things that made the other participant of the conversation extremely uncomfortable. Of course, each state has their own law, but the general consensus under the Child Protection Program is that minors cannot legally consent if they are under the ages of 16 and in some states 18. Here in Quebec, we have much more flexible sexuality laws, with the legal age of consent being 14. However, it's legal to sexually interact with someone who is 4 to 5 years older than you, no matter if you give consent or not. Under the eyes of the law, it's non-consensual.
But Paint! It's not in real life, so it doesn't count.
Actually, yes, it does, and I'd be willing to buy into that excuse if, there wasn't an actual term for it. Non-contact abuse is the correct term for this kind of assault. Encouraging a child to look at porn, which he sent nudes to multiple minors, that's non-contact abuse. There are many other cases where he's abused this non-contact thing, but there's about 5 to 6 cases of it, and if I were to go into full detail, I think I would throw up. Not that I don't feel like doing that already. Not to mention, one specific case involves Spockter sending news to a minor who was already in a relationship, purposely made them uncomfortable and pressured them. sounds familiar. But no matter what way you look at it, it's illegal in every way, shape, and form. Also, not to mention, he begged people to draw porn of his OC, and a lot of people he begged were minors as well. He even held a fucking contest for people to draw lewd art of his fucking lizard man persona. That is disgusting. We didn't accept that shit from Birdie when she drew NSFW art, yet this guy gets a pass for not only holding a contest for people to draw NSFW of his OC, but flat out begging other people to? That's disgusting. And don't forget that this guy is 17. Say what you want about minors looking at R34, but how can you just let this shit slide? I get that you might be fooled by that grown man persona that Spoctor tries to pull off, but he's a scumbag cunt underneath that facade. There's been ridiculous drama in the rent and animation community, but I'd argue that this has to be the worst case. Yes, even worse than the IRL memes of kids holding knives up to their faces. Yes, even worse than Kapu Official being a zoophile. Yes, even worse than Sleepy King exposing his audience of minors to rape jokes. None of that shit compares to what this poor excuse of a critic has done. I'm sorry if I'm being aggressive, but it's shit like this that really grinds my gears. This shit is flat out disgusting, and you bet your ass Spoctor isn't gonna touch this at all. No apology video, no deactivation. Worst case scenario, he leaves for a week to whine about it by himself and jack off to lizard porn, only to come back and pretend nothing happened. Sorry, Spoctor, but I don't think anyone's going to forgive the shit you've pulled off. There are people who look up to you, and imagine now they're learning you're nothing but a disgusting predator. Sometimes I expect more from this community, but it is nice to see everyone getting together to call this guy out. Spreading information is important, and frankly, that's the reason I'm uploading this on my main channel. I'm going to end this video by linking Atari's video on the matter because it contains a lot more evidence than I provided here, and it includes a lot less anger. I'll also be linking resources down below if you've experienced something like this, and please don't hesitate to reach out if something like this has happened to you.